Welcome to the 30-Minute Hour. It's the personal development podcast for entrepreneurs and career professionals. We're looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday.
It is indeed a happy Monday. Not if you're a Washington football team fan, but for everybody else, it's a happy Monday.
Yeah, I think our losing streak now is like 6 games or something like that.
Something like that.
I lost count.
Yeah, we're 2-6, but we're going to keep this show on a positive note.
That's right.
We were talking about the football team backstage. We're going to just move forward and talk on a positive note. So on a more positive note, today is National Authors Day. That's right. You know, there's always a national day. So every day is probably a national day of some sort. I just don't know what it is. But today I know that it's National Authors Day.
All right.
So shout out to all the authors out there. Our guest today is an author. We've got the What Now Movement Facebook group.
Wait. Yeah. I thought you were talking about guys named Arthur.
No.
It's about authors, like writers. I thought you were talking about guys
like the cartoon guy.
Yeah, I know a couple guys named Arthur. I was going to say, hey, happy National Authors Day to you, but that's not what you meant. Sorry about that.
Now, trust me, Ted, his day's coming.
Okay,
right. That
author
day is coming because there's a day for everything. All you got to do is wait a little while. The name day is coming.
That is true.
But now, salute to the writers. Ted, is that clear for you there? People have written books. Shout out to all the authors who are watching and listening, and make sure you go to the What Now Movement Facebook group and drop the link to your book so that we can support your efforts. In National Authors Day, shout out to you. Again, make sure you join the What Now Movement Facebook group. And as you probably can tell by now, this is not your everyday podcast.
No.
Yeah, Jonathan, I should have warned you ahead of time, but yeah, this is not your everyday pie. We do things a little different here on the 30-Minute Hour.
A little different.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excited to be here. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, but for those of you watching, you can watch us on Facebook like you're doing now, on Facebook Live. We're on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. Also, shout out to those of you that are watching us on the 30-Minute Hour Instagram page on IGTV. And don't forget to share the show.
Share the show.
That's right. Got to share the show. Our goal is to help you to laugh, to learn, and ultimately level up. So if you feel like we've done those 3 things for you, please make sure you share the show. Get this message out there.
Or if we didn't do those three things for you, share the show anyway. Give us another shot next week to see if we do those 3 things for you.
That's right. That's right. We'll try again next week if we don't do that for you this week. All right. So, Ted?
Yes, Eric?
I've got something that's on my mind.
Please share, Eric.
All right. So, today, in honor of our special guest, I want to talk to you about inspiring people to produce at a high level. That's what we want to talk about today. Inspiring people to produce at a high level. So there's a story told. There was this 13-year-old boy who he was just released from this youth detention center. But while he was incarcerated, he developed an interest in boxing. So he visited his local gym, and he immediately bonded with the head trainer, who just took him under his wing. And so from the first time this 13-year-old laced up the gloves, the trainer looked him in the eyes and said, "You are going to be a world champion." This doesn't make any sense because, again, the boy's only 13 years old. He had no boxing background. The trainer hadn't even seen him punch in the bags or anything. He said, "You are going to be a world champion." And then whenever the boy told the trainer about all these other great boxers he admired, like Muhammad Ali or Larry Holmes, the trainer would say, yeah, he's all right, but you're better than him. You're going to be a world champion. Wow. He said it again. They'd be working boxing drills and he'd get tired. And the trainer would say, don't stop, keep going, because one day you will be a world champion. But Ted, I know you're wondering, whatever became of this young boxing lad, this 13-year, whatever happened to him?
Yeah.
Well, the boy in the story is Mike Tyson.
Huh.
Yeah, and so 7 years after his trainer, Cus D'Amato, made this prediction, he became a world champion.
Wow.
The youngest heavyweight champion of the world ever. So Cus, he inspired Mike to produce at a high level. So the question is, what can you do to inspire people to produce at a high level? That's the question on the floor, right? I mean, you got a business, you're leading people, you've got a nonprofit, but how can you inspire people to produce at a high level? This is the part of the program where we really need your undivided attention, right? I know you like to listen to us while you're driving. This is where we need you to just pull over to the side of the road. I know you like to listen to us when you're in the gym. You need to press pause on the treadmill.
Yeah, wait a second. Jonathan liked that. I'm going to do that one more time.
Uh-huh.
He was getting it. Now I'm going to press pause.
I like
Press
that.
pause on the treadmill. So Ted, is there anything else the people need to do?
Jonathan, you got to put the ham sandwich down, man. Right now it's about to get real good. So you need to put the ham sandwich down. Focus in. It's about to get good.
All right. There's the question on the floor. What can you do to inspire people to perform at a higher level? And here it is. Call them by a name that they have to grow into.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Call them by a name that they have to grow into. And there was a recent study that was conducted by this sociologist, Charles Horton Cooley, and he said that people tend to see themselves the way that others see them. And the technical term for that is the looking glass theory. If you tell somebody that there's something for long enough, a lot of times they tend to see themselves that way. So if you want people to, if your people see themselves through the looking glass, they can develop authentic self-esteem, which can fuel them to produce at a high level. And I bring this up because our guest today created the term authentic self-esteem. Let's go ahead and
Like what you did there with that, Eric.
introduce him right about now. All right. So after applying what he says today, you'll really be ready to take things to the next level and inspire your team to produce at a higher level. Our guest is the founder of Rapid Accelerator, a full-service consulting company that focuses on solving post-COVID employee performance challenges in the HR and talent development space. He created the term authentic self-esteem to highlight the interrelatedness between poor individual and team performance as a result of low self-esteem. He actually presented his authentic self-esteem program at the 2021 Arizona SHRM Convention, to the delight of the audience. And that's a big deal. I mean, SHRM is a big time organization. They don't let any and everybody get up and present. So, I'm telling you, he is somebody. This is a big thing. We're glad to have him today. So please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour podcast, Jonathan Miri.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. So welcome to the show. It's certainly an honor to have you on. So let's give the audience some context. Let's roll back the clock. You were at one point an undergraduate at William and Mary. So when you were coming up, thinking about your career, like what was your vision for your career at that time?
That would put us back in the late 1990s. And I had grown up with parents who both had long-term corporate careers. My father worked his corporate job, very safe, very stable, which lasted 37 years at one company. Unbelievable. And he retired with benefits, he retired with a pension, and that was tempting. I thought about following in that path. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, so some government jobs, some opportunities to get in with the right company, get in with someplace that was going to take care of me and I was going to take care of them. So that was the vision back in the 1990s. Didn't work out that way, but that was the vision originally.
Interesting. Yeah, and I can relate to you because my dad worked in the same building for like 35 years. So that was that time that you don't hear those stories today necessarily.
Exactly. That relationship where the companies took care of the workers and the workers took care of the company existed, but surely that changed after the time that I was in college. But it's led me to where I am. We'll get to that soon.
Oh, for sure. So if you could, knowing what you now know, if you could go back and talk to, let's say, this year's graduating senior class at William & Mary, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them that their graduation is only the beginning of their lifetime of learning. And they are blessed to be in an economy and in a world where everything that they would ever want to know is at their fingertips on the internet. Specifically, my favorite is watching YouTube videos. Every professor, every speech about how to. Did you hear about the woman who, single mom, had no experience, built a house all by herself? One person built a house from scratch just using YouTube how-to videos.
Wow.
Amazing.
So I would tell them to continue with their education, but also one other thing, we hear a lot about mentors. We hear about find a mentor, find a role model. And I grew up around people that I respected and I loved, but I didn't want to follow in their path. I wanted something different. I wanted something better. So with technology, with YouTube, I was able to find digital role models and digital mentors that I wanted to follow. So content creators, authors, people that I really, really respected and wanted to be like. And I watched their content and they became my mentor. Even though I've never shaken their hands in person, they became my mentor digitally. And I have an ongoing relationship, as you do, with your wonderful listeners, that they became very instrumental in my life.
You know, and this kind of leads to something that just is Jonathan, it's one of my pet peeves. Right. So, like sometimes I'll ask somebody a question or, hey, what do you think you can do to improve business? Or what do you think? What are some ideas you have to get started on that podcast? And it's like, and they say, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To me, it's 2021. If somebody can learn to build a house on YouTube, the words I don't know should be erased from everybody's vocabulary.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The way to learn how to do anything, the best teachers, different perspectives, it's all there, and it's all there for free too.
Amazing.
And you mentioned even having access to the mentors. I mean, just because you're not physically in the same space with someone doesn't mean they can't be your mentor. You can read their book, listen to their book, watch their video. There's just so much information out there.
Absolutely. Did a lot of watching of Tony Robbins videos, Brendan Burchard videos, learned how to sell by watching YouTube videos, learned how to speak publicly from YouTube videos, and learned how to build a website from YouTube videos. Not only does that save a lot of time, but it saves a lot of money too. You can do it yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So you went on, you had this great career. You were a VP level exec for 5 different organizations. Jonathan, that seems like a pretty good deal. What was it
It
What
does. And
led you to say, you know what, I need to start my own company?
With all the fancy roles and titles on the outside, it would seem that way. But on the inside, I really, really wasn't happy. I was in those roles during the crash of 2001 and the crash of 2008. So I went through different economic crashes. I also went through a corporate bankruptcy. So I started to see how companies, and really different from what I grew up, said that companies did not have that trust with their employees, and employees didn't have that trust. And perfect example, I had a boss tell me that I was about to get a promotion and that there was a job waiting for me for 6 months. And every day, just keep working hard, Jonathan, just keep doing it. You're going to move into this job. Soon to find out the job never existed. No promotion, it never existed. And those 6 months, they squeezed me for all the productivity that they could get, and then they exited me from the company. So that really left a mark, and it really it hurt. And I learned a lot very quickly in those roles. And I like to say I started job hopping before it was cool to do that. So about every 2 years, I would find a different position. I was willing to move. I relocated many times for each of those positions. I moved to a different city, but even if I hadn't moved to a different city, I stayed for about 2 years. And then if there was a promotion at another company, I would take that. And that's how I was able to move into those roles and to learn a lot very quickly.
Wow. So that means that you just constantly kind of, after a year, just maybe just start putting your resume out there just to see what was going on, since you knew the marker.
I did. And as I looked at roles and interviewed, there were some that had pause because I had moved quickly, but there were others that were impressed with that. And there were others that meant something to them. And it only takes one yes, and it only takes one job offer. So a lot of it was a numbers game. A lot of it was a numbers game, and applying to as many jobs as I could, a lot of no's and a lot of rejection. But I persevered, and so we'll get into what authentic self-esteem is to me. But during those roles, that's where I really started to develop it.
So it's interesting. I mean, other than like the authentic self-esteem piece that we'll get into, what else did you learn from moving from different jobs that you take with you now?
Well, I lived in different parts of the country, and I learned that people are the same in many ways and people are different in large towns versus small towns, Pacific Northwest versus Las Vegas versus Texas versus North Carolina, that we're all looking for what I say is a combination of health, wealth, love, and happiness. And I think everyone is pursuing those things in different ways around the world. And that was a really educational experience for me to see different parts of the country. And I saw companies execute and do things well, and companies not do things as well. And I was able to share a lot of what I had learned from the different companies, which was valuable to them. And that made me more attractive as a candidate.
Good. And so you started Rapid Accelerator. So what's the mission of your company, Rapid Accelerator?
For companies right now that have problems with turnover and low employee engagement, which, to be honest, is probably every company right now. We hear about the Great Resignation. We hear about a lot of people whose minds are on other things. We're distracted, we're afraid, we're watching the news, we don't know what's next. So for a lot of people that are disengaged and are thinking of leaving, I come into the company and I help them with increasing engagement and keeping people in their roles. Now, I can't promise that we can retain everyone, but for things like making people feel appreciated. How often do we hear when people leave a job, did your boss appreciate you? No. Did you feel appreciated? No. Do they feel respected? Do they make them feel like they're growing? and making progress in their careers. That's another thing that a lot of people, I think during COVID, started to think, where is all of this going in my life? What are the years and where is my career going? And I think that gave people a different perspective on their careers. So for things that management can make someone feel appreciated and respected and like a real valued human being, people will tend to stay in their roles.
So, and what would you think is like, what would you say is like the number one, if there was the top thing that causes people to leave and participate in the Great Resignation? What is that one main thing?
If they feel like they're making progress in their careers, so if they feel like they're learning new tools, they're learning new skills, and that they're better today than they were yesterday, that progress has a real aliveness to it, and it has a real sense of forward movement, and it's something for people to get excited about with work. It's when people spend weeks or months or years in a role and don't really add anything new or feel like they're repeating the same things every single day, that's when a lot of people grow very restless in their jobs and where people want to leave. So I would say to make sure that people feel like they're making progress every day. That also goes to the continuous learning, because if it's not in the job, we have the ability on YouTube and other formats to train and educate ourselves to move forward.
Oh, this is good stuff. I definitely think we've got CEOs and entrepreneurs who lead people that, need to hear this message, because I think it's easy just to say, oh yeah, it's just this time and people don't want to work and, people would rather be virtual, but you're saying it's a whole lot deeper than that.
I think it's a lot deeper. And I think once people stepped away from work and they were home for a little while, they really started to self-assess and analyze life. And at that point, I think a lot of people decided that their careers were not their dream jobs. They were not what they were meant to do, that a lot of their skill sets were not being utilized, and that their job wasn't playing to their strengths. And so it gave people a chance to maybe get off of that hamster wheel that we talk about and finally step back and assess how their life is going.
You know what I also think happened during this time is you're so used to doing things a certain way.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was like, okay, go home. We're going to figure it out. And we're going to figure out a way to do it from home. And people went home and, for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months, right? They were trying to figure it out, but then eventually it was figured out. And there were efficiencies that were gained from doing things virtually, but now I think some of the challenges that you have now and some things opening back up is that, people, some employers want to go back to how it was before. And I think that's an issue. That's an issue where those employees found, this virtual way of doing things probably a lot more fulfilling and don't want to go back to just doing it the same old way.
Exactly. We remember the stigma of working from home. It used to be that you tell somebody you're working from home, it was assumed, okay, so you're not that serious. Okay, it's one of those kinds of days. But people did work hard and they did do a great job from home, and it was possible for people to produce and to get a lot done. And I think that surprised a lot of companies. It surprised a lot of management, but people rallied and found a way and did a great job working from home.
And it's so funny that just seems like that was so surprising, because really, what's the difference? Like, if you're not like in doing something like in a factory where you have to touch something, right? Other than that, you're really in front of a computer, and you got that same computer now at home, right? I mean, you still can have a meeting where the three of us can get together virtually and still engage the same way. What's really the difference, other than I guess we can't shake hands, but I guess we could put the little hand thing up on the screen. But other than that, yeah.
So what does your process look like, right? So I have a company, I call you, So how would you help my company as it relates to your services?
Well, it starts with a vision, and it starts with what it is that you see, what it is that you envision for the company, and then we work backwards. So if you told me that you wanted a company where people felt like they belonged, people were making progress in their careers, that they were happy to come to work, and that they were moving up, and it was a place that was known as a great place to work, then I would take each one of those items and work backwards towards where we are today. And it's a lot of frank and honest dialogue. It is a lot of looking at process. It's looking at turnover. Sometimes it's reading reviews for the company and going to websites like Indeed and Glassdoor and looking at some tough reviews and looking at some tough words about companies and trying to undo that. Those reviews are very, very harmful. If you have good candidates that are reading those reviews, if someone has a 1.5 or 1 star out of 5 or out of 10 review, that's going to be very difficult to attract the best talent to that company. So sometimes it's having a difficult conversation with an owner that maybe there's some things that the owner either doesn't realize that they're not doing, or there's some opportunities for some growth. There's some opportunities that maybe an owner started from a very, very small mom and pop, or it's one person. It's grown very quickly, and maybe some of their leadership skills need a little bit of work too. So really, it's coming in and creating a customized plan for them.
It's interesting that that show, what is it, Undercover Boss?
Yes,
I think that show. It's an amazing show where they're bringing someone in from the top level of the company and just bring them down into some of the the other areas of the organization and getting to see what it's like day to day. But what would be interesting is if they reverse that, right? Like if some of those folks had an opportunity to see what it's like to be, I call it, I in my organization I call it like the 12th floor and the 7th floor, right? Like the 12th floor is just such a strategic area, right? And 7th floor, you kind of day-to-day operations, kind of making things go. But if you switch places to see what it's like, I think that could really help with just an understanding of what everyone's dealing with. Why are they not seeing these things that we're dealing with? Because they're we're dealing with some things up here that you don't understand either. Just maybe that's a show we can come up with, Eric. We just
there you go.
We just reverse it. You know what I'm saying? They probably wouldn't go against any like copyright, right? Our show is going to be about us, going from the 7th floor to the 12th floor and, seeing what it's like up there. I think that could be an interesting show.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, by the way. I mean, I just know, like, I've had times where I've been like the assistant in an organization, and I would look at the head person and say, why doesn't he just do this to do that? I mean, he's just slacking. Oh, my goodness. And then I get in the seat. And I'm like, oh, now I see.
That's why he doesn't do that. Right. It'll be
and then I had the assistant that said the same thing about me, So,
yeah.
But no, you're right. I do think that perspective would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet you. And they would go back to their position with a whole
totally different perspective of what it's like. Absolutely.
What if we paired people from the 7th and the 12th floors as mentors and kind of buddies? That way. So that's the same great idea, but pairing them up so that they help each other and kind of support each other in both directions.
We got something here, Jonathan.
Yeah, we got it.
See, Eric, you hear me saying we got something? We have something here, Jonathan. We got something. We got something.
But so, Jonathan, I would imagine you took time to survey the employees as well to kind of get their feedback. And do you find quite often there's a disconnect between how the CEO sees the engagement and then what the employees are saying?
Absolutely. A huge disconnect. I'll ask everyone in the organization to name what they think their top 3 priorities are. And then I'll ask their boss what do you think their top 3 priorities are? And I have yet to see a company where they line up. People are working on things that they do not need to be doing. They are prioritizing other things. So that's a real opportunity, because if there's that much of a disconnect, that's a shame that people are spending their time, they're spinning their wheels, they're doing things, and that's how people get really upset and disappointed during annual review time, because they're busy, they're working hard, but they don't know that they're not doing the right thing, and they come to find out from the boss that all that time they were wasting their time doing something else. So that communication is crucial that you just mentioned, Eric. Absolutely.
So let's get into this as far as authentic self-esteem, this term that you created. So what is it, and what inspired you to create the term?
Authentic self-esteem. So, we've heard of forced self-esteem, where people say, like, they come across as confident, but maybe on the inside they really aren't, and they're maybe substituting, or they're trying to force it or fake it. But authentic self-esteem to me is that feeling of aliveness, where things may not be perfect, but every day, if you feel like you're growing, if you feel like your things are getting better, and that you're improving in one area of your life. COVID has been extremely difficult right now, but if one aspect of yourself is getting better and you're able to look back on how far you've come, where employees can help with challenges, and where a team is given a team task or a team goal, it's an opportunity for the team to come together, for individuals who learn and stretch themselves. That feeling of, I feel like I'm making progress. I feel like I'm better today than I was yesterday. And I feel like my days and my time are worth something. That's what creates that authentic self-esteem. So part of it is progress. Part of it is that aliveness of making changes day after day, because I think, that the saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. But to know that this week was a good week because I grew versus last week, it's kind of like the sense of, if someone says that they want to lose some weight, let's say that someone wants to lose 20 pounds. 20 pounds is daunting, 20 pounds is a lot. But what if they could lose 2 pounds? And if they could do that 2 pounds, they could do that 10 times to accomplish getting the 20 pounds down. So I think authentic self-esteem also creates some momentum in life, where you feel like your days and your weeks and your months are going towards something better. And that sense of aliveness really gets behind you, and that momentum can be a magical thing.
So what do you think? A couple of parts to this. So first off, what can the leadership do in an organization to cultivate authentic self-esteem? I'm going to ask you that, and then I'm going to ask you about what can the employee do to gain authentic self-esteem? So that's a 2-part question. First part, what can the leader do to cultivate that environment?
Oh yeah, Jonathan. We put you in the grind here, John. I don't know what you thought. We did a little different.
So I would say for the leader and the employee to come together and to create some learning goals. Some of the learning goals would be from the manager, but some of the learning goals would be from the employee. So what interests them, what they want to learn more about, what plays to their strengths, so that they feel like they have a sense of control over their careers. Because back when we were in school, we had the curriculum pushed on us, and we had to read certain books. We had to do certain math. We had to do certain assignments. What if we could choose what we wanted to learn about? And so that's where, now that people, this is back to that college graduation, find what it is that you like. And then learning can become fun. And if you haven't found what you like and it's not fun, then keep learning and keep looking around. So I would say for the manager and the employee to create goals that go both ways. And so for something to really enchant and excite the employee, that's the first part.
Okay. All right. And then, so as far as if there's someone who's got low self-esteem and they want to get to that authentic self-esteem level, are there things that they can do that they don't have to depend on leadership to give to them? Or
Well, I would say to find those things that interest them and to learn about that either through the company or through some sort of free portal. So we don't have to go to community colleges. We don't have to pay for online courses anymore. Everything is available for free on YouTube or other social media platforms. So learning about what interests you and what fascinates you can really, really be motivating. Something that I try myself, and it creates a sense of gratitude. Every day, I think of 10 non-material things that I'm thankful for. And so that can be as simple as clean air, clean water, safety, freedom, things that we might take for granted or we might not be thinking about all the time. And then write them down on your phone. And then every day think of another 10 so you can't repeat them. And it can't be your house, it can't be your car, it can't be anything material, but non-material things, because sparking and creating that sense of gratitude also helps with stress. It also helps with feeling down, feeling depressed, like a lot of us have felt right now. To keep our minds on things that we are grateful for, that sense of gratitude can really, really keep us alive and help with self-esteem too.
And that's a great point. Because if you just think about like 2 years ago, right? Just some of the things that we just totally took for granted, right? Getting together with friends and family, being able to walk around without a mask on, like just so many things that you think about that we're just like, oh, that's just what we're just used to doing. And then now for someone to say, yep, you guys have to stay in the house, right, for the next couple of weeks. You got to wear a mask when you go out. You can't have these types of gatherings and all of that. And now we're like, man, just being able to be outside without a mask is amazing, right? Just being able to get together with some friends and family is like, it's just the greatest thing ever, and you really have an appreciation for some of those things. And so just like you said, just taking some time to say count your blessings. I think it's something that'll definitely make you, be aware that it's not as bad as you think it is.
Yeah, and that there are things to be thankful for, even during the toughest of times. That there still are things to be thankful for. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an excellent answer. I mean, you're saying that don't even think about the material things. Think about just those things that it's easy to take for granted. And to Ted's point, I saw a picture, Facebook will give you like memories of pictures you've taken. And so I saw a picture from my homecoming, my college homecoming. It was right before the last one before the pandemic. I mean, it was just jam-packed. Nobody was thinking about
you up on everybody like this,
right? Or masks. And I remember I totally took that gathering for granted. Seeing friends that I'd known for years, and I took it for granted, and definitely when things get more back to a sense of normalcy, I have a greater appreciation. So I definitely think that's a tremendous practice, and I think you'll feel better about yourself, right?
Yes.
If you're
and Jonathan, that was a great answer, man. I thought Eric got you. I thought you was in the squeeze for a second. That's why I had to jump in for a minute, give you a chance to get your thoughts, but you came out swinging on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great answer.
I saw something on the computer that said that there is someone somewhere in a hospital bed that may have millions of dollars in the bank, but they would give all of it to be doing what all three of us are doing right now and what our listeners are doing right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
Wow,
for sure.
So always something to be thankful for. Sometimes it's a little tough. Sometimes it can feel a little hidden, but taking that time, 10 non-material things every day.
Great answer.
Awesome. All right. So you're the author of the official post-COVID leadership guide. So let's talk about that. So Like, who's the target audience, and what do people get from reading it?
So I surveyed 150 HR and business operations leaders, so from finance, accounting, admin, and I asked them what areas were the most important areas to focus on going forward. And I came up with 8 essentials. And I'll very briefly, that one of them is mental health. The other one is processes, because people are doing different jobs. They've been asked to do things that are different than what they may have been doing. As there's turnover and holes on teams, people are asked to take over different positions. Learning, people have to feel like they're making progress. And just a couple others. Talent management, huge right now. But for those of us that can muster it and can really come up, this is a time to prove that we can take larger areas of responsibility and prove to our bosses that when there is a hole or when someone does leave a position, to say, hey, I can take on a little bit more. And I know that's incredibly difficult right now, and so much respect for everyone that is what they're going through right now. But that is the perfect chance right now to show a boss, hey, I'll take one part of what our departed employee was doing. I'll take a little bit more and prove it. Hey, if it's the right job and if it's the right boss, that'll mean something to them, and that'll mean something to them after all of this pandemic is over with. So, and then teams, making sure that people are celebrated and rewarded, and that there's still culture left on the team. You know, everything's gotten so fragmented. People are home. We're not doing a lot of reward and recognition. We're not doing a lot of celebrations, but really to make sure that people feel appreciated, people feel like they're part of the team. And yeah, I know a lot of people are zoomed out, and you hear that people have a little Zoom fatigue, but if someone is being recognized and someone is being praised publicly, I think they'll be okay with being on Zoom during that time.
Yeah, that's right. Like if it's a little financial acknowledgement there, a little bonus or something, they don't mind it being on Zoom.
Exactly.
Eric, you wouldn't mind it being on Zoom, would you?
I'm like, what time is that Zoom meeting again? I'm gonna have to arrive early.
Send me the link.
I want to make sure there's no technical issues. I'm gonna arrive early.
That's right.
And for a lot of leaders there, they keep hoping that things will get better, that they'll change. Well, we know that hope is not a strategy. And for the leaders that put together plans, and whether this COVID lasts another 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, putting together a plan, making sure that people feel like they're appreciated and making progress, celebrating and rewarding them, and helping people individually and also with their mental health to be very respectful and very responsive toward mental health, and give people the breaks and give people the space that they need right now.
I mean, so what type of feedback have you been getting on the book? Because I mean, this sounds like, I mean, every company on the planet needs this book.
They do. I appreciate that, Eric.
Jonathan said absolutely. Everyone, every company.
Every company needs that right now, whether they realize it or not. They need it, because if they don't have the pulse on their employees, I do, and I know people are struggling right now. Absolutely. So this is a crucial piece, and would love to speak to anyone and to help them out with that, because I want people to be able to enjoy their lives and enjoy their careers and have that balance of that health, wealth, love, and happiness that I mentioned earlier. And that balance is extremely difficult right now.
All right. So I mean, you've done some amazing things. I mean, you had an amazing corporate career. And then you transition that to doing your own thing, and you're accomplishing big things. I mean, what's next on the horizon for you?
Well, I'm going to continue to serve my clients. I have opportunities across the country, and I have made myself available to travel to those locations. So looks like I'm going to be starting to travel. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona right now. I might be doing some training in Houston, and the effort is appreciated by a lot of companies, the effort to travel to train them in person. I'm a member of 11 membership organizations. So you mentioned SHRM, you mentioned some of the training and development. I'm a board member of the Association for Training and Development. So I'm very active with that. And so I'm really trying to serve. I do a lot of free work. I do a lot of free speaking. I'll be a keynote speaker at the U.S. Postal Service Convention next year, and I'm doing that for free. So I'm doing as much as I can for a lot of people to help them out and to give them some free advice, some free speaking. And it's really been an honor to help a lot of people right now when people really, really need it.
Man, you all better get with Jonathan, man. You better get with Jonathan and get the book. Get the book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely get the book. So,
I started my consulting career a couple years ago, and to everyone out there listening, I would say that at no point are you going to get full permission to go out on your own. There's never a point where you're going to get that sign or you're going to get something in the mail or yet. So for all of you who might be waiting, might think I don't have enough experience, maybe the timing is not right. Of course, with COVID, it's presented different challenges. But I'll be honest, when I first started my consulting gig and work, I didn't think I had enough experience. I didn't think I had done enough. I didn't think I was good enough, but I took that chance. And some of my first meetings, I smiled and nodded and wasn't exactly sure what was going on. But then that goes to the continuing education. So after the meeting, I would Google or I would spend some time on YouTube to be able to talk through it and to teach myself what I needed to know. So for anybody that's looking for permission to go out on their own, I officially grant you that permission. Here is your permission that I'm putting out in the world, that I wish all the best for everyone.
You know, that's it. That's an interesting point. You know, a lot of times in my company, we're looking at various opportunities and the team will say, well, we don't have past performance in that. And I said, well, there was a time I didn't have past performance in anything when it started. Like, you just get out there and you just figure it out and you perform. You have to perform some places before you can have past performance. So,
yeah, to Eric's point earlier about the type of person that gets a question and then immediately looks it up, that's the kind of person that is going to go really, really far in this world right now. So to everyone that hears someone ask a question, make sure they look it up, because the answer is there. You know, it can be any kind of random question, or it can be something as simple. I was talking to someone today and they said, well, you know, I hear the word change management a lot. And I never knew what it was. I looked it up, ordered a book from Amazon, watched a couple of videos on YouTube, and now they're familiar with what change management is.
Right. Now they're a change management consultant.
There you go.
That's how it happens. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because you'd be amazed at how many people say things like change management and don't even know what it is, and they just shake their heads. Then that person that's up there doing the presentation, he or she, they looked it up, put together some slides, and got up in front and
well said.
In that area.
Or they even talk to their mentor who maybe was strong in change management and ask them questions.
Yeah.
Google change management, enter change management into YouTube, or enter in best book change management, and buy it used on Amazon, and it'll be there in a couple of days. Buy a used book for $5 or $6.
Wow.
Opportunity. The opportunity's right there.
Absolutely.
It's a mouse click away.
That's it. Helping them win, Eric. We're helping them win.
That's right. That's right. So, Jonathan, this is the part of the show that Ted loves. It's called Around the Horn, right? So we each go around and leave that closing thought to help people to become unstoppable. Jonathan, you're the guest of honor. So what is your closing thought that you wanted to leave the people with?
I hope everyone after our conversation today will believe in themselves even more than they already do, and to take the opportunity that's in front of us. And we've talked about YouTube, we've talked about Amazon Books, we've talked about Google. And as I said, no one is going to grant you the permission to go for that job promotion or to go for that next position, similar to what I did with all those job promotions. I went for 6 job promotions in 8 years, and that was taking the initiative to move up and move on. No one gave me permission to do that. So I'd say to everyone to believe in yourself, and even if the world feels like they don't believe in you, if you believe in yourself and you put out that energy into the world that you do believe yourself, people will accept that, and people will say, okay, this guy really seems like he knows what he's doing, seems like he knows what he's talking about. It's similar to if you can say something with confidence, you can convince a lot of people of a lot of things. So I would say to aim high and to really go for what people want in their lives and in their careers. And, fear regret, not failure. That's a favorite of mine.
Thanks.
That's
Eric.
tweetable.
Thanks,
Tweetable.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Eric.
No pressure, Ted. No pressure.
And my thoughts on this is just as a small business owner for 25 years, and I think that if you ever work in a small business, right, you get an opportunity to do a lot of things. So that's saying that you want to be you can either be a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond. You can in a small business, you can get that opportunity to try a bunch of different things, right? And then see, what things that you may be, most interested in doing. Whereas in a large company, they're so large and you're in these major divisions and you can't get your hands in different places. In that small business, you'll get that opportunity to try a lot of different things and then see what those things are that you really enjoy to do, as well as Jonathan was mentioning, being able to, have that kind of that personal development that you'd like to have. And so, I've always said that if I was not running my own company, I'd have to go work in a small business, because I just couldn't imagine being in a large company where I'm kind of in certain types of boxes. It's one thing in my company, I've never heard anyone say they were bored. Like, it's just in a small company, it's just, so you're bored? Well, jump over here to some other stuff over here for you to do and to learn. No matter what it is, and you definitely learn how to utilize Google and all the platforms that Jonathan mentioned.
No, that's good stuff. He definitely. I've been around Ted's company, and I agree. You can't complain about boredom.
No, but you're bored? Oh, I got something for you. Let's go in here and whiteboard it out.
I got a project for you.
Let's figure it out. Let's figure this out. Absolutely. Because you'd be surprised at the things that you can do when you're put in a situation to do it. I think a lot of times people just don't have an opportunity to do something different, because, hey, that's not on your resume or it's not in your background. But in the small businesses, hey, jump in there, figure this out. Next thing you know, you've started and you've learned something that you may really enjoy doing.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So my around the horn, I want to share a couple of stats that really bring home the point I'm trying to make here. One of the stats is by a company called Glassdoor, where they say that 75% of people who leave companies, they leave because of the boss and not because of the work itself. And then the other stat I saw, I think it was on CBS, and where they surveyed like all, we're in the great resignation. People are leaving their jobs now more than in years past. And they did a survey of a sampling of people who left their jobs here within the last 60 days. And 50% of the people surveyed said they would have stayed if their boss would have handled their leaving differently.
Wow.
I thought that was interesting. And for me, that I think as a leader, you have to take ownership for the culture in your organization. I think you just have to, and you can't assume that it's a certain way. You can't assume everybody's happy because you're doing well on the bottom line, or because people smile and say, "Hey, good morning, Mr. Twiggs. How you doing today?" You just can't assume that it's that way. And that's why I think you need someone like a Jonathan in your life that can help you to really get your engagement level to where it needs to be. Because I just think just because there's a great resignation, it doesn't mean there has to be one within your company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's my around the horn.
That's
so
good.
Fantastic.
So definitely, I'm thankful for Jonathan. All the things that you shared and all the nuggets you dropped. I mean, this was it. Fear, regret, and not failure. I think that's huge. That's tweetable. I may have to borrow that one day. But no, Jonathan, thank you for sharing.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
And how can people best connect with you?
My website is rapidaccelerator.com, and all of my information, my contact information, and the ability to book meetings and all about the company is at rapidaccelerator.com.
Rapidaccelerator.com.
That just sounds fast. Like we focusing on rapid acceleration here. So that's not the place to just come and just think you just kind of hanging out. No, I can see Jonathan coming there like, look, we're about rapid acceleration. I don't know what you came here for, but we are rapidly accelerating in here.
I bring the energy and enthusiasm just like you guys do. I bring it, and that is infectious with a lot of people too.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. And again, like we said at the beginning, don't forget to share the show.
Share the show.
Because hopefully we made you laugh and learn and level up. So make sure you get this message out there. And here's a special challenge I have. Share this show with at least one person.
That's right.
Right. Just pick one person.
That's right.
Maybe they run a company. They're thinking of starting their company. They just brought on some employees. Find that person. Share the show with them.
That's right. Make them watch. Make them watch. Go over the house. Pull it up on your phone. Both put your mask on. Pull it up. Make them watch it.
See, I'm not leaving until you watch.
You're going to watch this show.
We certainly want to thank Jonathan Miri once again for all the things that he shared on this show. And we encourage everybody to make sure you listen to this replay. You can go to Apple Podcast or Spotify or any place you like to listen to your podcast, and there you'll find us. And until next time, have a great one.